Okay, so, Coach Doege, take it away.
Yeah, so far, spring's been really good. We're 6 practices in. The tight end group has actually saved us a lot because we're down at receiver right now from a number standpoint. So we're having to play a lot of an 11 and 12 personnel. And so they're having to learn, 3 positions, whether it be the 2 inside positions and the tight end spot, which we call the H spot. And they've done a phenomenal job of kind of setting a standard in that room and what it's supposed to look like. And the best thing about it, like I said, is us getting reps. I mean, we're getting reps that we normally don't get just because of, like I said, from a number standpoint. So I got a lot of guys getting a lot of reps, getting a lot better. And I think we've made a lot of strides. It's the culture in that room has been established the last couple of years. And there's some really good people in that room, guys that are selfless, guys that are tough, and guys that are disciplined. So it's been a lot of fun to coach them. It's been a lot of fun to see them grow these past, 8 weeks of training, and now 6 practices in a spring ball. And we only, we talk about it all the time. One thing that Graham always echoes to the unit is, we never want to sacrifice short-term success, with not doing our technique or our fundamental that's being taught. We want to create habits that will put us in a position that will sustain long-term success. And that's doing what you're coached to do, even if, sometimes it's a lot easier to do it another way, just to get by. But we're going to do it the way it's been taught and the way it's been coached. That way, when it comes to fall camp, when it comes to fall games, we're right where we need to be from a fundamental standpoint. So I'm very proud of the group so far, and I'm looking forward to continuing this ride with them through spring ball.
Great, thank you. We'll take some questions now from the media for both Coach Doege and for Erik Krommenhoek. So let's start with Ryan Abraham.
Morning, guys. Seth, at first I want to check on how the first couple weeks of practice were as the full-time tight ends coach, and then how closely you've been working with the new offensive line coach Clay McGuire on some of the blocking schemes.
To answer your first question, I'm enjoying myself. I'm really having a lot of fun. Like I said, the culture in the room has been established the last couple of years, so I'm just continuing to build on that. When you're coaching guys like Erik, and you're coaching guys like Jude and Josh Foley, Ethan Ray, Sean Mahoney, Lake Mccree, those guys are good kids, and so it's a lot of fun to coach them. And so they've made the transition a lot easier than most would. And then with me and Clay, obviously he's changed some verbiage in the run game. So we gotta do a good job of being on the same page from a communication standpoint, because I got guys that, maybe I'm teaching a little bit different technique or harping on a different technique. And we're having to communicate with young tackles, whether it be Cortland Ford or Jonah Monheim, who might be the first time they're kind of in there getting a ton of reps, and they're tired. Late in the practice, you might get tired, and that's when you got to communicate the most. So we're just kind of, obviously still work in progress. Like I said, continuing to create habits so we can sustain long-term success. And that just comes with practice, and we got to continue to build on what we're doing here.
Okay, Ryan Karchi.
Seth, you've been at USC with Graham, since this offense was first installed. Anything about this offense, heading into year 3 that you've noticed has either kind of developed differently or kind of taken a step forward in a different direction?
Yeah, we can play in 12 personnel and do everything we want to do. And that's just been proven over the spring right here, right now, because of, like I said, the numbers. I mean, we're playing with 2 tight ends most of the time, and we can do everything that we want to do out of 10 personnel with 12. And so that makes us dangerous, right? Especially from being able to go from a pass game set to a run game set and not change personnels. If we can find 2 tight ends that we feel really good about, man, watch out. It's gonna be dangerous.
Is that something that was just kind of born out of necessity, or were you planning on integrating a little bit more 12 personnel this year?
I think the system's always allows you to play in different personnel sets. That's what I think that's kind of what separates Graham's system from most air raid systems. Most air raid systems, you're really caught into 10 and 11. It's really hard to play in 12 because of the bigger sets. But I think the flexibility within the system and how it's been, created over years allows you to get in those big personnel sets and still do what you want to do from a pass game standpoint, right? As well as be in those big 12 personnel sets, but also use 10 personnel. So you got little bodies in there too. And so it's just there's so many different ways that you get creative with personnels in the system, and the rules still stay the same for the kids. So we're allowing them to play fast.
Let's go to Adam Grossmart.
Yeah, Seth, just, in terms of like trying to find the players who fit that personnel, like who has stood out to you from your position group just to start the spring?
EK's probably had the best spring so far. And honestly, he's probably had the best spring he's playing the best football right now I've ever seen him play. He's really made a huge step up. I mean, if you were going to vote on probably the most improved player through 6 practices, he's probably the top of the list. He's playing at extremely high level right now. So we feel really good about EK. And then, before he kind of got a little banged up, Follow was playing at a high level too. And probably the most intriguing guy that we've seen so far in my room is Mccree. And for him being, basically a senior still, he's very instinctive when it comes to football. He has a great feel in space, especially at the receiver position when we put him in the slot. His only deal is we got to continue to kind of develop his body, let him mature physically so he can get down and kind of he doesn't have a problem throwing his body around because he's fearless. We got to put a little more mass on him just to protect him a little bit and give him a chance to have success down there. And then Mahoney's done a great job of learning the H-back spot. He's extremely physical in the run game, and he cares a lot. So there's a lot of people, in that room that have really made some strides. And then you still have Jude, who hasn't even practiced yet, still coming back from an injury. That's just, obviously he's waiting for his opportunity to get there and kind of show what he can do. But, I feel pretty good that we'll find a couple guys that will come out of the spring that we feel really good about. And then obviously we adding Michael Trigg to the mix come fall and the summer puts a little more pressure on some of those guys too to continue to get better. So I feel really good about the room and where we're going, and we'll find, like you said, we'll find 2 guys that can do it for sure.
And Erik, yesterday it was announced there'll be fans at the spring game on Saturday. Like, are you excited to play in front of fans again? What was the reaction among the team?
Yeah, obviously we haven't played in front of fans since, I guess, the end of last season. If you count Arizona, there was a limited number of fans, mostly family there. But just being able to have people in the Coliseum, having just noise or any sort of non-artificial noise, I think just the guys in general super excited. Obviously, you want fans there; it's more fun. They get to see you play. You get to, that's part of why people come to USC. You see the big Coliseum in the background of some of your guys' pictures. It's a beautiful venue, and we want people in there, and we hope that we can get as many in there now and even more in there for the season.
Okay, Antonio Morales.
Seth, what's it been like watching Ethan Ray at practice? I know he's a guy who's kind of been hampered the past 2 years trying to recover from injuries and things like that. What's it been like watching him?
He's done some really good things. And then obviously there's some things where you're like, man, this guy hasn't played football in 2 years. So you just got to give him some grace. And, but one thing about Ethan that I love about that dude is in the meetings, he is constantly taking notes. Everything you say, he's writing down. So you can tell that it means a lot to him. And then he's got extremely good ball skills. So there's been some times where he's had to make adjustment catches where he's, whether it be behind him, and he can really put his nose to the ball and really turn his body and make those catches look easy. And then when he gets out and runs, man, that dude's fast. He's a lot faster than I thought. So he can really run. Obviously, we're continuing to train him. just by playing football again, really, and really, putting his face on somebody and getting hit in the head again, And so it's a process, and he knows that, but he's made strides every practice, and we'll continue to train him. And like I said, he cares a lot. So I'm betting money that he's going to be a lot better by practice 15 than he is at practice 6 right now.
And you put a lot of time into recruiting the young quarterbacks. What's been your first impression of those guys this spring?
Right now, I think they're doing a good job. I think at first, the first couple of practices, their eyes were extremely fast just because the speed of the game is completely different. And then just, obviously learning a new system, and when the bullets fly, it's a lot harder than it is, drawing it on the whiteboard, which they've been doing the last 8 weeks before spring ball started. And so they'll continue to make huge steps. They're still, if you look at them right now, they're both supposed to be in high school still. So, but you can really see the talent both of them possess, right? And you can see like how Jackson has he's got some charisma to him without even saying anything. His body language and the energy that you feel off him when he's back there is contagious, and that's just gonna make everybody else better. And then on Miller, you can just see how he processes things very quickly. Very smart, very intelligent player. And so both of them are going to have, in my opinion, huge upside if they continue to develop the right way and continue to work at it. Both of them are going to be really good football players for us.
RJ.
Hey, Seth, we got to see you guys do some work in the red zone on Saturday. I was just curious, how would you evaluate the offense overall in that specific situation? And how involved do you expect the tight ends to be in the red zone this year?
It's a little bit skewed in practice because we kind of stay within our base install. Like, we change installs every single day. And then it really doesn't depend on what the practice, dictates. So if we're going to run those specific plays, we're going to run those specific plays in the red zone too. And so we don't have our full arsenal of red zone plays sometimes. And so sometimes the practice gets skewed in that sense, but it also, it makes us as an offense call those plays in the red zone area and have to go execute those plays in the red zone area. And so we'll continue to get better at that. Obviously we need to be better in the red zone. We need to come away with points. And I think it all really, it's collectively of a whole of understanding when we're down there that we don't come off the field with points, as well as Keaton and those guys being on the same page and him being able to process and throw accurate footballs down there and give us a chance to score. So I thought we've done some good things, and we'll continue to get better. Like I said, in the spring, you're not in the business of immediate results. We're not trying to win. We're not trying to win the spring game. We're not trying to win the spring day, right? We want to create habits that will, again, I've said this a long time, but we've been preaching this to our kids. Like, we do not care about immediate results. We want to create habits that will sustain long-term success when we play Notre Dame. That's the habits that we want to create right now. So if it doesn't create immediate success, say, for instance, if we're teaching a release on a fade route and a specific way to throw it, and it doesn't get completed, if we were 0 for 2 that day on that type of throw, as long as we did it the right way, we're creating habits that will give us a better chance at completing that ball down the road. But if we're trying to do it the wrong way and we completed 1 out of 2, well, we just wasted a rep, right? Because that's just immediate. It's an immediate result that we can't mass produce, and we're trying to create habits that we can mass produce.
Thank you.
Mark Culkin.
Good morning, guys. Erik, you've been around for a while. This is probably your most physical spring practice you guys have had in your time. And what are your impressions on it? How's it helping you and the team?
Yeah, I think it would definitely be our most physical spring practices. Obviously, we didn't get spring last year, but I think a lot of it stems from not only Graham's philosophy, but also the defensive philosophy. those coaches are always preaching physicality to their guys. Graham's always preaching physicality to us. And I don't know if we're going to be in full pads every day, but I think we are. And I think that's just part of the mentality. And I think it's going to help us as a team. I think the defense has been flying around. Obviously, they do a lot of stuff with T.O. and he has them running around, and they look good. They're physical, and the same way Graham tells us, we're gonna be more physical than them, and if we're gonna control the line of scrimmage, that's how we're gonna have success in the run game. And if we want to have success in the pass game, obviously you need good pockets. So I think it's all helping the offensive line. The defensive line is obviously experienced. They've had some guys get a lot better on their side as well, and I think it'll be good for both of us with a young offensive line and a defensive line who could be pretty good, and some linebackers who aren't afraid to hit. Just getting all those reps in now that we didn't get last year, I think it'll help us tremendously in the fall.
And then pretty much the same question for you, Coach. When we're watching, it's been obvious that the defense is ahead of the offense right now a little bit. What are some of the messages you're trying to get across to your guys and into the offense to kind of match that intensity that the defense is bringing?
I can agree. I mean, I disagree with you. I mean, I think we're right where we need to be offensively, especially with the older guys. I mean, we're repping a lot of younger guys right now, especially in the 2s and the 3s, where we're having a goal against, from a number standpoint, a guy that really doesn't know much against Thule, who's a freak, right? So obviously that's going to skew some things a little bit. And it kind of just goes back to what we're preaching. Like, we're always going to preach selfless, tough, and discipline to these guys. All right. And if we can believe in those things, like taking care of your teammates, battling through adversity, and doing what you're coached to do, then obviously we're going to continue to grow as an offense. And with that being said, and continue preaching that, we're not looking for immediate results. We're looking to sustain, create habits that sustain long-term success. So I keep going back to that, but at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to accomplish there in the spring. Again, we're not trying to win the spring day. All right. We want to create habits that will help us win games in the fall. And so I think we're doing a good job at that. I think obviously we've got to continue to grow. We got a new offensive line coach with new communication, and they're going on year 2 of their system. So they're a little bit I think you're right on the fact that they might be a little bit ahead on their install because they're familiar with it, where we're trying to install new communication with young O-linemen that will continue to get better as we go through the process.
Okay, Ryan Young.
Seth, how much of the increased use of 12 personnel is connected to Drake London playing more outside?
I think it allows us to have some flexibility to put him out there. Obviously, he's a freak, and we want to move him around as much as possible. So, playing in 12, like I said, it allows us to move him around to the outside position more. Get creative in that standpoint, and he's done a really good job. I tell Graham this all the time, and obviously Graham and I are the only ones that can kind of relate to this because we've seen it in person. But Drake London really reminds me of Michael Crabtree when he's on the outside, and it's kind of correlates because both of them were really, really good basketball players, so they have extremely good body control. But one thing about it is they run like slants and fades are kind of what we do offensively, especially out there. We want to be really good at slants and fades, especially versus man coverage. And it's really hard to guard Drake London when he's outside running a slant or fade right now. And I remember that was Crabtree's deal too. You couldn't guard him on a slant. You couldn't guard him on a fade. They weren't burners, right? Neither one of them are extremely fast players, but they are big, physical, very competitive with extremely good body control and body positioning players. And I thought it was always funny because every time I see him run a route, I'm like, man, that looks very eerily similar to Crab. And obviously Crab had a ton of success in the system. So there's something to be said for, obviously finding ways to keep Drake outside.
So how tough of decision will that be ultimately to, you know what he can do inside, he's proven that, but to maybe go away from that and take a gamble and try something new?
I think it just, depends on what we're trying to do, how we're trying to attack the defense, and where we feel like our best matchups are, right? Because you still do have Brew, who's, he's just now coming back to practice. Like to see where he's at and how he develops from an outside perspective. And then Gary's obviously making some big time strides at the other spot too. So you don't want to take a good player off the field either, but you know what I mean? We have to figure out where we can manipulate and create some mismatches for Drake. But at the same, just like you were saying, though, he's a really good Y. And the position that he's been playing those last couple of years, he's kind of dominated. So you gotta be smart when you move him around. But as long as you feel like you have a really good player at the Y position and we can find a mismatch on the outside, then let's go expose that as well.
Let me throw a question to Erik. You're one of those guys that came back for an extra year, taking advantage of that. What went into your thought process there? And I know academics has been important to you. How much of that end of it played into your decision?
Yeah, partly academics, partly football related. I'd say on the academics side, I'm graduating this semester, and then want to be able to work hopefully in the hospital this summer with one of our team doctors. So hopefully I'll be able to do that. Obviously I wanted to do that last summer, but there was some things going on in the hospital where I couldn't be there. So hopefully we can get that cleared up and have that work out. And then football wise, I think just wanting to have another year to finish a college career and having a chance to go win something in the Pac-12 and the national championship that, I think we're close to, but we need this spring to get there. And I think losing last year to Oregon at home in the Coliseum is a sick feeling. And I know I've had some friends leave, and I think it's just you want to win that Pac-12 again. You want to get back to the college football playoff, and I know how special this place is. I know how special the tradition is here. I know how special the talent of kids we have here is, and just the ceiling that we have that I know we want to reach, and I think we can, and I wanted to be a part of that.
Great. I know we have a few more questions, but we're hitting 8:30 here, and I know coaches got to get to a meeting, and we've got to release Erik. Also, we appreciate you guys jumping in at the last minute and filling in for us, guys. To the media, thank you for joining us. A reminder, we do have our spring game on Saturday. I've asked you guys, remind you to get to me by the end of day Wednesday. If you plan on attending, so I can get you on the list. So please, I've heard from many of you, but if you do plan on attending, get to me. Beyond that, we will see you at practice this afternoon. And our next Zoom is on Thursday morning, 8 a.m. with Dante Williams and Chris Steele. Okay, thanks guys, and we'll see you soon.
Appreciate it. Thank you.